I don't see. Let's see, Barbara, Bill, Louisa, Chuck. Huh. All right, well, it's 6:02.
We have a quorum.
We do. We could get going. Okay, so that's who's here. I don't have any changes. So we have on the agenda to talk about the haulers contract. That was a big topic. I will say that I did ask Director Crooms if she would attend our November meeting and answer questions and discuss how things are going with that. And she did say she would be here. So are there other issues we want to raise or people's thoughts on that?
Did you email to her to remind her? Because when we talked with her, she asked to be emailed to be reminded, and I didn't get a copy of that.
No, I haven't emailed her, but I will.
I sent an email this morning.
To her?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I had emailed Kevin, Barbara.
Okay.
So, okay.
But
Did
probably
she-
it's good, probably good if either you or I also email her, since we talked to her.
Did she respond, Kevin?
No,
Okay.
but
All
I
right.
gave her the link.
Nancy, since she's tentatively agreed to be here, can we also have a little bit of a discussion with her about tipping fees, what the current tipping fees are and how they relate to other areas, particularly since we have new contracts and I don't know what they're paying the vendors.
Okay, I'm gonna make some notes. So I think this is a good opportunity. If we want to bring up topics so we can give her a heads up, why don't we just, I don't know if you all want to have continued discussion about where we are, or we can just, if you guys want to raise issues, I'll make notes, Kevin will make notes, and I can send them to Director Crooms, and then she'll have a heads up about what we'd like when she comes. I think that would be good.
Yeah,
How
I
would
was
you-
asked,
Probably
I was asked
productive.
recently by one of the council people if our group had looked at tipping fees recently because of the increasing cost of operating the landfill and whether or not it's even vaguely getting close to approaching costs. And I know it doesn't, but I know it's been years since it's been raised. At least I think it's been years since it's been raised.
Okay, so the other thing would be have a little background on the tipping fees and its relationship to the cost of, I guess, operating the landfill. Yeah.
There was just notice today that the council's approved increasing the DPI's fees, so it doesn't look like we should be shortchanging DOE if everybody else is getting to get a little bit more to cover.
Well,
Apparently
yeah, go
not
ahead,
only
Bill,
the-
I'm sorry.
not only the fees, but they also are tacking on another 10% for technology.
Wow,
To
a technology fee.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
start charging a technology fee.
I wonder if that means they'll start actually doing something, but that's another story entirely.
Yeah. Well, I think that's an interesting point. I'm hoping that maybe what Director Crooms can talk to us about is, I don't know what, are in the area, or if that matters, what different, landfills charge for their tipping fees, but I presume that they know what the environment is like for that.
Nancy,
So-
years ago when this was, you may have been on one of the earlier versions of the commission when we looked at the issue of tipping fees. The concern raised back then was if they raised the fees too much, they wouldn't be competitive and the haulers would go elsewhere, so they'd actually lose revenue.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know what the current environment's like or not, whether we're still, relatively in the ballpark or we're low or we're high, but it'd be nice to have that information.
Yeah, Chuck, I agree with that because I think there's probably a lot of dynamics. I mean, one might be also proximity. If you run a business, you have a big truck and you're paying for gas and the landfill's closer, even if it's a little more expensive, you might be willing to use it. If it's too expensive, the cost benefit may or may not work. So yes, I think having, some kind of environmental scan of what that impact around us, what people are charging for this, and I'm sure that she must know these things. I'm sure they must look at this. But I'm making notes. I will give her a heads up on what some of our concerns are.
Okay, and as you know, Nancy, we're interested in this new messaging contract, company, whatever, and how the SWAC can be involved in the messaging.
So the communications contract and SWAC's participation. Okay. Yeah, we can bring that up, just emphasize that when we speak with her, but I'll put it in the note that, you know, we want to talk about that. That's important.
Can we back up just for 1 minute? The
Mhm.
notes that came out on the last month's meeting didn't have me present.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I was there, and
Yeah.
Ms. Robles is listed as a guest, and she was actually confirmed that day, so she was a full member.
That's right. Thanks, Chuck.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
Kevin does this and they're not really minutes, they're just notes, but thank you for the corrections. That's helpful. And appreciated. Okay, other thoughts on having Director Crooms come next month? Other issues, I mean, we're, you know, primarily focused on the change in contract that happened July 1st. I actually am curious why we weren't informed, you know, more than a week before. Since it appears they knew about this for a long time.
And so are you, or should one of us do a MPIA that hopefully we could get a copy of the contract before the November meeting?
Yeah, so Barbara, I think I sent it to Dave, but I can forward it to you, or Dave can forward it to you. Kevin kindly sent the information on where to ask for that. I don't think it's very complicated, and if you wanted to do it, it would be great.
Sure, if somebody sends me the information, I'm happy
Yep,
to.
yep. Okay, so I'll make a note. Send Maryland Public Information Act request info to Barbara. That would be great. Yeah, it would be great to have it in advance. So yeah, great idea. Thank you.
Nancy,
Yes, sir.
I don't see anybody from the council or representative of the council here tonight. Is that something we
I
kind
have
of
not,
someone there?
good point. I've not heard from Kenny today. I have to say, I glanced at my email. I've been working all day. I haven't been on the computer a whole lot, but I did check. Let me double check, see if there's a note from him. I don't think I
He
saw.
didn't send it to everyone, if he did send it to you.
Yeah, sometimes I don't remember what he typically does, but usually I know I see, okay. Yes, okay, I see Mr. Cole is stuck in traffic. I don't have anything from Kenny, so I don't know. I'll send him a note right now. Okay, other thoughts. I'm sending him a note as we speak. Okay, that's done. Let me see if I can find, there we are. Okay. All right. Other concerns to raise with Director Crooms. Dave, you often have a thought on this kind of thing? Anything? Gonna
Not
try
right-
to give her a heads up.
Yeah, not right now, but I'll be thinking about it and get something to you certainly before the meeting.
Okay. Okay, well, I can also ask her just to give us a general update. You know, do people feel like they understand sort of what happened, or do you want her to go over that
With what?
with the contract? You know, to explain, we did this, we did that, this happened, that happened.
Being somewhat new here, I don't know what's going on. So
Okay,
they want to give a little summary. That'd be great.
okay, a summary. One thing I will ask her for a short summary. I think she has recommended also for people to go back and look at the council meeting that she was at, that Chuck kindly sent out.
Mhm.
So you may want to do that. I thought that was very helpful. So that also may cause you to think of other things you want to raise. Barbara?
There were a couple
Oh, Chuck.
questions raised by council people, and I can't remember specifically what they were without going back and re-listening to the tape. But she didn't have some of the answers that the council was looking for.
That's right.
And my council person apparently still hasn't received those answers. So there may be some questions about the follow-up to her presentation. And did she respond to council questions? And if she did, what were those responses?
Yeah, so the main council questions were, yeah, it sounds like you have great fines for the haulers, but have you actually assessed any
Exactly. And
fines for the
they were
haulers?
holding off doing it
And she
until
was saying
another
they were
month.
holding off for the first month, and then if
Right.
they didn't comply the second month, then fine for the first month. But we're now into the third month. So we
Right.
would like to see if they have had some fines or if the haulers get off scot-free for everything they do as they've done for the past many years.
It would also be helpful if they have updated numbers from the records that they were keeping of the number of complaints, whether in fact they have continued to decline.
Okay, I'm making increase or decline. Okay, great. Yeah.
I mean, but saying that they've declined in the last few months is slightly hokey because you want to know the
What
complaints
the numbers were.
versus like a year ago, because in July, when they changed the date without announcing it to most people whose dates were changed, they got a jillion complaints. Well, of
Right.
course. So that's an anomaly that was just stupid planning, but
They
it is
had
a
no,
temporary thing.
the thing is, they had no choice in when the contract ended. I mean, that was something that procurement
They-
handles. It's not their
They had a
decision.
choice in how they announced it or
Right.
didn't.
That
right.
may be,
There-
but
there's-
again,
They
the
could have put a
actual-
notice on the trash bin of everybody whose day was being changed, that their day was being changed. Bright
I
orange.
I received notifications myself.
A lot of people claimed they didn't. I don't know if they missed it or threw it
I
away.
received
or-
notification and then later was told my date wasn't changed.
I did
Yeah.
too. Same for me.
Only
Yeah.
after I called and asked where the postcard was, but I did get the first notice and never got the second notice. And then when I called to find out why, they told me, oh, you're not changed at all. But in the meantime, they had posted on the internet that the date had been changed.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until day 2 of the new contract that they corrected the internet posting.
Well, I think the notice that the day was being changed went to everybody in the county, even if their day wasn't being changed, like West Laurel wasn't being changed, but we got the notice, which, didn't make a lot of sense that we got a notice the day was being changed when it wasn't.
Right. Well, and it was also confusing because a lot of the towns rely on the counties. I'm in Hyattsville and I got the incorrect information twice. And it turned out my trash day stayed the same, although they told me it changed, but my recycling day, which is the county provides that service for Hyattsville, was changed. And
Yeah.
everybody on our block was confused. You could see for a number of days, trash and recycling containers out on different days until everybody figured
Yeah.
out what it really was.
I would make a humble suggestion that we don't focus. I mean, we can say it was really crap how it was rolled out, but that we don't focus too much on it
Yeah.
and
I agree.
focus on the longer term things rather than this one-time screw up.
Well, Barbara, I do think though that, they did hire a consultant to help with this, so I'm not sure why the rollout seems so difficult, actually.
Because consultants, obviously, as good as they are at getting out environmental messaging.
Well, I think some consultants can do that very well, but why this was so confusing and difficult, I'm not really sure I understand, but I mean, I'm sure they've heard enough complaints about it, but we don't really need to beat that, dead garbage. Okay, any other thoughts on the, anything else you may want to bring up?
Nancy, we're still scheduled for the tour on the 4th. Is that correct?
Yes, 10
There may
o'clock.
Yeah, there may be some issues that come up after we do the tour that we may want to include.
Okay, that's true. Okay. Yeah, so I would suggest to everybody that just to make a note or send me, if you have particular things you're concerned about, send me them and I will forward them, I'll gather them together up until a few days before she comes and I'll send them to her. So she just knows what we're going to ask her. She's prepared. Yeah, that's a good point, Chuck. Thanks. Okay, any other thoughts, either on questions or concerns for Andrea. So Tanya says complaints have decreased since August. Okay, well, that's good. Any other issues you want to discuss about the hauler issue, or we done with that?
But Tanya, are the complaints lower than they were in September, October of 2023?
I would have to go back and check. I just started tracking them in August of this year. So I,
Yeah, but August is still going to have, they were still having problems with the rollout, with the July rollout.
right.
August. So that's going to be a higher. I mean, the complaints should go down from August because it's abnormally high.
Okay.
Abnormally, that's a great new word. Love
Yeah.
that. An abnormally.
You know, I got two of them mixed together there.
No, it's great. I love it. It's like a new word for me. I love
Well,
that.
I
An
did say
abnormal.
what it was in 2023, but like certain haulers who were at maybe like 40 a day are now down to like 20 a day, and some may only have maybe 1 or 2 complaints a day. So again, I don't know what it was back in 2023, but that's significant to me, I would think, going from 40 to 20.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, the question is, if in, say, May, they were only 15 or 20 before the change in the schedule. You know, we got to know before the change in the schedule how it was.
Mm-hmm.
What about numbers too? Could we get the numbers for each of the contractors, even if they are reduced?
What numbers, Dave, are you looking for?
Well, Tanya's saying that they've been reduced, but that doesn't tell us a lot. I think it'd be nice to know what the numbers were before and what the numbers are now for each of the contractors.
Oh, for
The complaints.
complaints. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so say if we could get it for the last 6 months for each hauler.
Dave, just recognize some of the haulers are different and some of them have different routes.
Right.
Right.
Same company
Right.
with different routes, so I'm not sure we're going to be able to compare apples to apples.
Right.
Still be worthwhile to see it.
Yeah, yeah, obviously. But
Okay.
recognize
Yeah.
there are some differences between
Yeah.
the pre-change and the after change as to who the haulers were.
And like, for instance, Bates, they apparently reduced their workload by something like a third or a quarter because they said they were overworked. And they're still very often not picking it up on the day they're required to.
Okay. So I suppose you can ask for that, Barbara.
Yeah.
Um,
You know what I really want to ask for, and I know
Okay.
I can't do it. But when I was talking to a 311 operator who clearly is really pissed off at this whole waste management thing, she told me, just between the two of us, that she had heard Bates didn't get kicked out because Bates has a father-in-law, son-in-law relationship with a high up in the council. So I'd love to know if that's true, but that's not something you can ask publicly.
well, I don't think anyone's going to probably tell you whether that's the case or not.
Exactly. But I thought it was fascinating that the 311 operator tells you that.
Well, I wonder how she would get that information, but
She
okay.
apparently lived in the same apartment building as a council person who told her that another council person had that relationship.
Hmm. Okay. So Kevin, would it be possible for you to request from, I'm not sure from who, but somebody at DOA, is this information we could get about the number of complaints by month for each hauler, like over the course of the last year?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
But I think
Right.
Andrea is also
Question, okay.
preparing her response on the questions when she made a presentation during one of the council's meeting. But I will also,
Kevin, she didn't
the
give specific numbers for anybody.
Right, right. We
Correct.
weren't,
I've watched that
right.
presentation twice. She did not give specific numbers for anybody.
right, and I think there was a request from some council members, right?
Yes.
Right,
To
and I
provide some
have
numbers.
asked
Yeah.
my council person and they haven't seen any revised numbers.
Yeah, I will follow up.
Okay, thank you. Okay, if we're done with that topic, let's move on to committee reports. And I think the main, not tremendous amount of activity this past month. So, Dave, I think you probably have the most robust report.
Yeah, and it's actually fairly short, so it should go pretty quickly here. As was just stated, we're having that November 4th tour at Brown Station, and be looking at Area C and how they plan to operate it.
Mhm.
Hoping we'll learn a little bit more about how they're going to be measuring methane and also recovering methane that's being recovered through the piping that they're really putting in the ground there. And that's also covering practices, both short-term and long-term. So I think that meeting should be open, I would think, to anybody who wants to be there. So I would encourage council or commission members to be there. And if they have other people they think that might be good to be there, to invite them too.
Before we invite somebody, we better check that they don't need some approval to come.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think you have to sign your firstborn away in order to get on there.
I don't want to do that.
Kevin, is there any kind of requirement necessary for anybody to participate in that tour?
Yes, so we prepare a memo for the tour, which includes the rationale for the visit, who the visitors will be, the time, the date. So yeah, it's documented. So we want to
Okay.
know who's coming.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, because the landfill's generally closed to the public now. Everybody's supposed to go to the convenience center across the street, not to, so they don't have public going to the landfill itself proper anymore.
So I don't know if this would be an opportunity for, the head or the chair or vice chair or something of the TIEE committee to join us, who may want to see what's going on with this.
That'd be a
Um,
great idea.
So Kevin, if that's okay, I can send a note to Eric, and there's a new vice chair. I forget who it is, Harrison, maybe? And see if they want to attend with us. Do you think that'd be all right?
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think
Okay.
you're right, Nancy. I think it is Harrison, because he was the one that was at the confirmation hearing for our reappointments.
Right.
Including on the tour, if I don't know how much you're going to be able to see of where, I know you can see where they're flaming off the methane, but where the pipeline was or is, and the area of concern, maybe, I don't know if you'll have a chance to get close to the bridge that they're concerned about. I drive it frequently when I go to Upper Marlboro, and probably anybody that goes to our Upper Marlboro by Brown Station Road crosses it and doesn't realize it. That's the impediment to having this pipeline.
And that's on Brown Station Road, Chuck?
Yeah, the bridge is on Brown Station Road.
Oh, I didn't
and
realize that.
It's
Okay.
just south of the landfill where the gas was being piped under that bridge. And if you recall correctly, that was one of the reasons they never repaired it, because they
Right.
could never get the approval. But
Right.
for the committee to actually see the area that they're talking about, and unfortunately now, both sides of the road there flood. Both sides of the road. It used to be just the south side. Now it's the north side of Brown Station is also waterlogged. It's now a swamp.
Interesting. Okay, well, I don't know. I guess when we get there, or we can ask.
But no matter what our assessment of it is, if the feds decide it doesn't pass muster, we can't do anything about it.
But I don't know that it was a Fed issue, because they had previous approval.
Apparently, that was a grandfathered in. They would have needed a new one, and they weren't going to get it. And I forget if it was a Maryland
think it was a
state or
Fed issue. I
feds.
think it was a
Maybe it was
DPI issue.
Maryland state.
It was
Yeah, I
a
thought it was
DPI issue.
Yeah, I thought it was a DPI issue.
Yeah.
It's a DPI issue. It's not a Fed issue. It's a DPI issue.
I thought it was higher up than that. Like
No.
Mm-mm.
that DPI was following what the either state or feds or something said.
Kevin, can you clarify any chance?
Yeah, I think the issue was whether the permit or whether the pipeline would have to be built above ground or below ground, and it is a DPI. It is within the purview of DPI to issue such permit.
So it's not any state or federal regs, it's only DPI.
I think it is DPI. Because we had several meetings with DPI on that aspect.
I mean,
But-
it might be a moot issue at this point if they decide to have the gas,
Right.
trucked out or piped out or whatever they're gonna do. It might be a moot issue, but it'd still be nice to know because, I mean, serving the jail was a good use of the gas.
Mm-hmm. Well, so my understanding is that they put out a request for proposal, it's for the beneficial use of the gas, and that's been in process. Is that correct, Kevin?
Right, yes. So the deadline for the submission of a proposal is October 24.
Okay.
When do they think that they will have picked a contractor?
Before end of the year,
Fiscal year or calendar year?
calendar year. So the county will provide the award. The target is before 2025.
If I guess it meets their satisfaction.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
Of course, the proposal will undergo, rigid review,
Mhm.
and the county has to, of course, choose the best and most appropriate proposal that is beneficial to the county.
Right.
Nancy, can we also have, when we're down there doing the tour, have some discussion or some update on what the plan is for buffering the old part of the fill, where they took down all the trees and the fence and everything, and now all you see is the big berm with the pipes coming out of the ground?
Yes.
Because that was screened, and now it's no longer screened.
Is there an address or street to designate that area, Chuck, so I can make a note that,
It's Brown Station Road.
okay, it's Brown Station Road.
It runs probably a quarter to a half a mile along Brown Station Road, where they took down the trees and took down the fence and took down the berming. And now
Kevin?
it's just the mound that you see.
Right, so there's no barrier at all.
Yeah, and there is a part of it where the service road that went to the top of the landfill was there, and where you went down to some of the internal pads. And that's part of the area that's currently under construction. They're moving stuff around down there on a daily basis. I can't tell exactly what they're doing, but I'm sure we'll see it when we go there.
Okay. Kevin, again, do you happen to know anything about I think we have discussed that there was a plan for that, but is this something that they're waiting on till this is all done, or do you know what the status of that is?
There's a plan to put up a fence, perimeter fence, and then to establish the buffer zone. And so I think there will be some plans to be planted there. But I'll have to get back to you on the time frame again.
Okay.
But yes, during the tour you can ask, because our landfill manager will be one of the facilitators, including one of our engineers.
Good, thank you.
So you can ask about the buffer areas.
Okay, great. So do you happen to know, I mean, they say they're putting up a fence. Is it going to be just a fence, or will there something more robust, like trees or something like that?
It's a mix of fence and trees, I think.
Okay, all right, great.
Because there's a community living across the street, right? So I
Yeah,
think part of the security and environmental safeguard is to have the trees planted there as well.
The Robshire subdivision is directly across the street, and Cabin Branch is just up the way. And both of those constantly complain about the landfill.
So
Well, I
during,
don't,
Nancy, during the tour, there will be an orientation of the training center first. So you can ask questions.
okay,
Regarding the landfill in general, in terms of the fence and, the plans. And then later
Kevin,
on.
are you
we'll-
going to send out specific directions on which building we report to or which area we report to?
I think he
I-
did.
I did, but I will resend. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
welcome.
Okay, Dave, sorry, but that was all important.
Yeah. Second, this is actually a question for Kevin. At the last meeting in September, I guess, I asked if we would get a second sort of the University Park compost,
Mhm.
following up the one which was done earlier in the year. I don't know if I got any response regarding that from you or
Yeah.
from
He
Steve.
did.
Yes, I communicated with Steven, but he said that it cannot be done on a Monday because they're very busy. So Tuesday is a potential day for the waste sort, if you're available. Monday is
Which-
not possible.
Which Tuesday, Kevin?
You mentioned Dave, November, right?
That's what, yeah, Dave, what were the dates?
I was suggesting either late November or maybe even December, just to give us a little more time because it's about the bags. And
Well, late November is gonna run into Thanksgiving.
Well, December runs into Christmas, but
So Dave, provide us with the date, but it should be on a Tuesday,
Mhm.
okay.
not Monday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Dave, if you want to figure out some dates and we need to make sure, I am going to be unavailable in November. So I would love to come and help, but I probably won't be able to, but we need to make sure you have enough folks to come. If Bill and Barbara, I'm not sure who else.
What about Tuesday, December 3rd? After Thanksgiving, well before Christmas.
That sounds good to me.
Bill, can you do
Yeah.
that?
As far as right now, that's as good as any other day.
Okay, I probably still can't, but if I'm here, I'll come, but I
Could you
probably
do
won't.
it better on the 10th, Nancy? The 17th.
I just, I'm going to be in Charlottesville because my partner's having surgery, so I just have no idea. It could be 4 weeks, it could be 6 weeks, so don't schedule around me for this. If I'm here, if I'm back, I'll come. But there's no way for me to know for sure.
Okay, so shall we tentatively set it for the 3rd, that it's
Yeah,
away from
that-
both Thanksgiving and Christmas?
Yeah, I think that's.
And I'm
Tuesday,
going through Carpo in both hands. I just had one done and I'll probably be in the middle of the second one by that time.
Well,
That's a good way to get out of sorting food waste, Chuck.
But you can come and supervise.
yeah, we can always use supervisors.
Yeah, and we can use endless supervisors.
And you can use your good hand.
No,
I don't have a good hand right now, unfortunately.
I will try to see if I can get a couple more people too. Maybe even a couple of people from University Park.
That would be good, Dave.
One or two of our council members, maybe. That's a
Perfect.
possibility. Yeah. Okay.
Come one, come all.
Mhm. Okay. On to the next topic. I'm going to schedule a tour of the anaerobic digester in Jessup as a follow-up to Craig Coker's presentation last month. And it will be an opportunity for anybody who hasn't been to a digester to see it. So I will, when I get it scheduled, I will try to let you know. And if any of the council commissioners can make it, that would be wonderful.
Do you have any idea when?
Again, I don't, I just was going to call my contact there. She said earlier that she'd be glad to have people come for a tour, but I haven't talked to her in at least a couple of weeks. So if anybody has ideas about a good days, maybe sometime a little later in December, I think everything is probably inside, so we don't really have to worry
In
about.
the summer,
What's that?
in the summer?
No, he
What'd
said
you say?
inside.
Oh, okay. I thought he said in the summer too.
No,
December.
inside.
He said
Oh, okay.
December.
Okay.
Mm.
Sounds good.
Yeah, okay. The last thing I want to mention is Louisa and I have started doing a survey of the 27 municipalities in the county to learn how they're dealing with their solid waste, including recycling, composting, and if they're doing any of their work in single family or multifamily households. And we just started doing the survey. We started a couple of weeks ago, and we kind of found that our questions were not the best in terms of getting good answers easily putting together a report. So we now have a new set of questions, and we've started to reach out to these 27 municipalities, and we hope to have a report by the next meeting, by the November meeting.
Dave, did you?
What's the relationship with the municipalities and the county and their operations? Are they independent? Are they subject to county regulation at all? Are they subject to using Brown Station Road? I don't understand.
That's part
Because
of what we're
I know
trying
they
to
have
figure
separate
out.
contractors.
Yeah, that's part of what we're trying to figure out.
Because it may be something beyond the purview of this commission. If they're not in any way controlled or operated through any auspices of the county, I'm not sure that we'd have any authority or jurisdiction to even suggest changes to them or any ideas to them. I just don't know legally.
Well, we're not suggesting changes. We're just trying to learn how they operate, and they do go to Brown Station, and they also go to the organic waste facility. So they're
And they have to follow county regulations.
They do have to count. Okay, that I wasn't sure if they did or not.
They
So
do.
The municipalities, when they operate their programs, they have to fall within the county's guidelines
Yes,
or regulations.
yes.
So Chuck, part of this really was initiated to get clarity about the multifamily unit recycling process.
Mhm.
That was really the impetus to this. And a part of it just turned out it's just useful to put together an understanding of who's doing what. That's really the focus. But to understand the municipalities are subject to the same law, the same regulations about the multifamily units. And that's the problem, is that the municipality.
Is that a state regulation that they're subject to, or is it a county regulation that they're subject to? I thought it was a state that they're subject to the state regulations.
It may be a state regulation that they're subject to, but it's for the county. It affects the whole county. And what's confusing is that they're not sure whether the county is supposed to be doing the enforcement or they're supposed to be doing the enforcement. So the idea is to just get clarity, in fact, of what the separation truly is, what the difference is. And no one seems to, when we started talking to people sort of more informally, it became really clear that the municipalities themselves weren't necessarily doing anything because they didn't think they were supposed to. So part of our role was just to clarify that what they really are, who's responsible for what.
Is the Office of Law involved in your process?
No.
That's probably who needs to be involved to clarify legally where the line is.
I think we know where the line is. I think the problem is that the municipalities don't know where the line is.
And Louisa,
Yes.
when we were talking a month or so ago, or even earlier about this, I think you mentioned the fact that you have this very large complex of apartments
Yes,
that are
exactly. So
kind of
Greenbelt
outside.
is in that boat where the city thought that the county was doing the enforcement, especially for those multifamily complexes, because the city doesn't directly collect for them, nor some HOAs. And so in those cases, who's enforcing? And we were told that the municipalities has to enforce, but the municipalities thought that the county was enforcing, so no one's doing anything. So I guess the
Right.
question there is kind of to figure out who knows what within each municipality, and then to clarify the things to say, yeah, no, you're in charge of that and we're in charge of this. So right now it's very murky. And yeah, Greenbelt has the largest multi-family apartment complex on the East Coast, and they're not recycling. I mean, they have one container for the entire multiplex. And the residents don't know even that they have that container. And who's enforcing that? Years ago, the county went and talked to them, but apparently it's not really within the county's jurisdiction to do that. So that's really what's going on.
This would be something good to add on to the list of what we want to ask Andrea, what her understanding is.
Oh, yeah,
Versus
that's a
this.
good idea.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll add it to the list.
So Nancy, that's all I have for a report today.
Okay, Dave, thank you. Okay, Nyla's not here. So, Barbara, you want to say anything about the communications messaging update?
Oh, great. Thank you. Yeah, so I looked pretty carefully through the document that Marilyn sent, which was a contractor's assessment of a bunch of the messaging that has gone out from the county. And it's really good in saying how to do the composting. It is really negligent in not saying why you might want to do it. And the one communication that was in a publication that I'd never heard of, the Washington Advertiser, Prince George's Advertiser, or something or other advertiser.
Inquirer or something like that.
Whatever. It says of how it generates leaf grow and leaf grow generates money. But and it starts out by saying that methane is generated if you put organics in the landfill, but it never says that methane isn't generated if you put organics into composting. So it doesn't give any feeling with the whole greenhouse gas and global warming and everything. And Kevin, you had said that you were going to post or had posted on the our folder that none of us could access, the mailings that went out to the residents on composting. And now we finally, thank you very much. That was an incredibly patient lady you got from IT, who could walk each of us numbskulls through getting set up that we can now just click a button and get onto that magic folder. But I cannot find anything in there on the messaging that was mailed out to the residents. And I will argue that the one where residents got snail mailed a hard copy is really the only one where we think that most residents are going to have seen it. And so I'd love to look at that. But my so at least from what we've been sent, there's no reason a resident should think that they're wanting to compost or not has anything to do with greenhouse gases, global warming. We really need to redo this messaging.
Speaking of messaging, if we're going to be at the Green Summit booth talking about composting, what's the perspective that we're supposed to be presenting to the residents on that subject?
I mean, we should certainly,
Good question.
you and I should certainly say exactly the importance of it, but unfortunately, it's a very select group of residents who come to a Green Summit. So you're talking largely to the initiated.
That doesn't mean they participate in composting. They
Mhm.
might
It
know
doesn't.
something about it, but they don't, there's a lot of people who
Yeah.
don't, who know about it, but don't participate for a number of reasons. And
No,
are we
no, no,
supposed-
we should, no, because I mean, I helped on the Sierra in past years booth there in trying to educate people. And we definitely should, but I think that's an important thing to do, but independent of getting the county to do a mailer to all the residents after all of the mailers on how, to finally have one mailer on why.
So going back to Saturday and the Green Summit, is there information that we're supposed to be collecting as to people's responses or anything like that? I mean,
Kevin, any,
what's the
And-
agenda for Saturday? The bottom line, I guess. Is from our perspective, as they asked us to participate, what are we supposed to say and do when we're participating? Or is that going to be covered on Saturday morning?
I think there are several topics to be presented during the summit on Saturday. One is on composting. And so that is one area that SWAC can help, in providing explanation to the residents, to the visitors, put the message across on, your suggestion to include the GHG emission reduction as one of the benefits of composting.
Kevin, can
Yes.
we write up a one pager and have DOE, RRD, whatever, you guys print out however many copies you think we would want to hand out to people there?
I think so, but when can you give it to us? Because
If we give it to
already
you on
Wednesday.
Thursday, it's Tuesday night now. If we give it to you Thursday,
Okay, yeah, sure. So
Okay,
we can
great.
take a look at it and, I'll ask Marlon as well.
okay, so I'll draft up something tomorrow and send it out to you guys for your editing.
okay,
Okay?
okay, great. Terrific. Okay, Barbara, that's it. You done?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think for now, that's it. On committee reports, we'll move into Kevin. Resource Recovery Division updates.
Okay. But before I start, I'd like to reintroduce Tonya, my colleague. She is the grant manager for RRD. And I'm sure some of you are familiar with her because she assisted when we were oriented about the access to the folder. So from time to time, she will be with us during our monthly meetings. And so, yeah, I'm working with her on the grants that RRD will be applying for. So, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, hello
Yeah.
to those I haven't met yet. I don't know if y'all can see me. My camera on.
It is now.
Okay. Hi.
Hi. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome. Are you a new employee?
No, I've actually been with DOE since 2010, but I've been with RRD since 2015. And then I left and went to Animal Service Division for like a year and a half. And I just got back to resource recovery.
Oh, well, welcome back.
Thank you.
Is there
So-
anything we can do to help with getting, I don't know, anything with getting money for all these important environmental initiatives?
I'm not sure. I'll have to think about that question and get back next time.
Good.
So there was, Dave had brought up last time, a question, Kevin, if you remember, about the new EPA grant on solid waste outreach and infrastructure. I think
Yeah.
you said that And is that something that Tanya's working on?
Yes, yeah, I'm going to cover that in the updates
Oh, okay, sorry,
that I'm going to present. Okay,
okay.
so first, regarding the EPA infrastructure grant. So we plan to submit a grant application for the construction of a receiving building at the OCF. So primarily the facility will handle offloading of food and green waste. So it will have an air filter system which will control odor to sort of avoid negative community impact. So with the increase in the volume of organic waste coming into our facility, we thought of having this facility. It's similar to a tipping floor at the MRF. So it will accept food and green waste and process them. So one of the main features of that facility is an air handling system that will control odor. So that's mainly the grant application that we're making now. I'm working with Tonya and our DOE's person in charge of developing the proposal. So we will try to maximize the grant, which is about 5 million, to have that facility at the OCF. So that's our plan.
Kevin,
that-
where do you envision that facility being located? At Brown Station Road, at the
No.
No.
I don't see
side
that.
on Ritchie Road?
No, it's at the compost facility. It's a receiving
Yeah,
building.
oh, okay, down in Upper
Yeah, yeah.
Marlboro. Okay,
Correct. Yes, at the compost facility.
okay,
Now,
got it.
now,
Have there been complaints from citizens to date regarding anything like that has precipitated this, or is this in anticipation of increasing volume and trying to cut it off at the pass?
there is no complaint yet, but in anticipation,
Okay,
odor could be potentially a problem. But, aside from that, we're anticipating the increase in the volume of organic waste coming into our facility. So, maybe you're all aware that we have the depackaging machine installed at our facility. It was installed last week of August, and it's now operational. So we have a depackaging machine, and that receiving facility will be a complementary facility together with the packaging machine. So basically, the depackaging machine separates the organic stream from the inorganic packaging materials. So it's an investment that the county made to remove contamination from the organic waste that's going into our facility.
So
And
it's to
also
pull,
because-
it's to pull out the plastic bags.
Correct. And packaging materials, especially with, for example, expired goods, it will help us, remove those packaging materials and, sort of purify the organic waste so that there are no contaminants.
But what are the packaging materials other than plastic?
It could be paper,
But
metal,
that could be
aluminum cans.
composted. The paper could be composted.
not all of it.
There's probably styrofoam.
There are some with plastic coating, Barbara. which
Oh,
are
okay, the
not-
plastic coated, okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
aluminum as well. So yeah, all sorts of packaging materials that are considered foreign to the processing at the compost facility.
Will,
So maybe go ahead.
I was gonna say, will all materials be going through that, or is this mostly oriented to handle that which is coming from commercial, operations?
Right now, it's mostly commercial waste, but we're also starting to process organic waste from residential collection. And
Thank you.
in terms of capacity, it's able to process about 20 tons of organic waste. So yeah,
20 tons per day?
yes,
Kevin,
we're not there yet in terms of the processing capacity, but yeah, again, in anticipation of the increasing volume of organic waste.
Kevin, everybody on this call today, I can hear very well, but yeah, I can't, you're sort of quiet. I wonder if you could just talk up a little bit. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry.
Kevin, the grant for this building, this is the primary function of the building is really just to control odor? Is that the main thing, or is there something more to it?
Depackaging.
So
No, I'm not talking about the packaging. That's a different machine. Talking about the building that they're requesting the infrastructure grant for.
I think that.
Kevin?
So yeah, odor control, and also as I've mentioned, in anticipation of the increase in organic waste, that facility will, handle the increased volume, and also as
I
a
don't
protection.
understand. What does it do to increase the volume? I mean, there's a huge site. I've seen the trucks come and just dump the stuff. It gets pushed into the bigger pile, chewed up, and then goes into the other pile. So I'm not really understand what the function of this building is.
Like a tipping floor that they have at the.
But
MRF?
why?
Yeah.
Why a tipping floor when there's perfectly good ground? I guess I'm not understanding really how it helps with the volume.
Adding another step,
But what's the step?
So it-
complication.
So it's as I mentioned, it's mainly odor control, and then processing of waste in a covered area, and it's also going to sort of protect our workers at the OCF during inclement weather. I think that's one of the functions.
Okay, that sounds like more of the function.
But mainly odor control, yes, and yeah.
Okay,
serves as a
Okay, so I presume it's mainly for the commercial where it's mostly food waste that's being dumped, because the stuff that's coming from the county and municipalities are, 98% yard waste, not food
Mhm.
waste. So we're talking about this is primarily for the commercial food waste?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, all right. So it's, okay, it's dumped there, and then what happens? It gets then picked up and moved over to and mixed with the yard waste, or goes into the gore cover?
Yes, for the food waste, yeah. Food waste will go to the gore cover, and the yard waste will go to the windrows.
Right.
So it's separation as well.
Hmm. Okay.
Processing and separation.
And do you know what the size, is this a building that's like huge, like, 100,000 square feet, or,
I don't have the numbers, but I can
Okay.
check.
And do you know what the amount of the grant was for? Is it for the full 5 million, or?
So the amount, the 5 million grant will cover design, permitting, and construction.
And so we're asking for the full 5?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
This isn't
You
gonna, they're not gonna add any packaging for the compost that is output, are they?
No.
They're still just gonna be dealing with bulk, not with the prepackaged stuff like Montgomery County does.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, Kevin, thank you.
Okay. On the HHW drop-off events, so our division will be hosting additional events in December and March next year, because we're anticipating some delays in the construction of the access road to the Lot 5, where the convenience center will be established. So expect drop-off events at Largo Government Center in December and March.
So how long until the real drop-off place gets reopened now?
So the target is April next year. That's the target. for the opening of the convenience center. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, where's the new center in relationship to the old center?
So that are you asking about the location of lot 5?
No, I'm asking, they're building a new convenience center? Is that right? Or they're just
Yes.
opening the old? I mean, I've been to the old one.
So it's a new location. So we're building a new convenience center.
Okay. And where's the new one gonna be?
I think it's across the landfill, Nancy.
Across the landfill. On what street?
We are pretty soon.
Brown Station Road.
Okay.
Kevin, you
Okay.
said they're building a new convenience. Is it north or south of the existing convenience pads?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure, Charles, but I can check.
Is
But
it currently, is it currently being cleared, or is there work being done on it as we speak?
Yes, the construction is ongoing.
So if I
as-
drive, not if, when I drive down Brown Station Road, I should be able to see it.
Probably, yes.
All right,
So,
because I'll be going down there probably Wednesday or Thursday, because I go down to the Amish market at least once a week, and most of the time twice a week.
Mhm.
All right, I'll look for it. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Kevin.
Okay, third on the emission study, there will be a meeting with UMD, NIST, MDE, and GWU next week, October 23rd to be exact. Andrea will be present to discuss about the research agreement because, as I've mentioned before, GWU and MDE were excluded from the signatories in the agreement. And so Andrea wants to understand why, the reason why they were excluded, because from her perspective, MDE should be involved because it has regulatory oversight on the landfill. So that's going to be part of the discussion next week.
Okay.
Kevin, who did you say had been excluded? I didn't hear that.
George Washington University was excluded, but they were originally in the agreement.
Did you say that MDE was also excluded?
Yes, MDE and GWU. Correct, Barbara. They were excluded.
Okay.
Okay. On the Area C infill project, construction is ongoing and completion date is October 2025. Landfill gas RFP, I provided you with the link to access the RFP, and the county has extended the deadline to October 24 based on the request of the vendors. So we expect the proposals by then, and the award is targeted to be made before end of this year.
Could you resend the link, please? I think with all my emails, I must have misplaced it.
Okay, I will.
I appreciate that.
On the bicycle reuse program, Nancy, do you have update about this piece, the reuse program?
Not right now.
Okay. Compost outreach, Barbara has explained earlier about her comments on the messaging. And Barbara, you were provided with the sticker tags, right?
Yes, and I right away sent back comments on them, and Marilyn very kindly said those are wonderful comments and they'll be incorporated, and I asked to be kept informed and haven't heard anything more.
So Marlene, I'm not sure yet, but I think she said that she will discuss with our communications team on your suggestion.
Great.
I will ask Marlene about the matter. On the repurposing of old carts in District 2, this project is ongoing. This is in Louisville, and the total number of households is about 1,700, and to date, we have distributed about 400 recycling carts. We also have mini events at major supermarkets there, and to date, we have conducted 8 events. We are also distributing flyers to the residents along with the mini events. Okay, so for the RRD events, Green Summit this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Number 2, the household hazardous waste events. The last one was in October 5, and we had about 550 residents. So we from June to October, we average about close to 500 participants for the drop-off events. And as I mentioned, we plan to have additional events in December and March next year.
The one in August at High Point was excellently run. I actually was person number 1 in line. And I was very impressed.
Okay, thank you. Also, we had fall document shredding this Saturday, October 26th at Oxon Hill High School, and November 2, Saturday at Martin Luther King Middle School in Beltsville. So if you want to avail of this event, there will be one next week. Yep. That's all I have, Nancy, unless you have questions.
I have a question, Kevin.
Sure.
On the compost. I know that your all's website is very clear or very explicit that one can only put food wastes in the 32-gallon toter and in nothing else. And we have an agreement from Andrea Crooms that since West Laurel, they don't pick up the food waste separate from the yard wastes, they combine them in the same truck, that we can put the food wastes in with our yard wastes in larger toters. And I'm wondering how much of the county has the food wastes being picked up in the same truck as the yard wastes. I assume it's only the ones that are further away from the facility. But is West Laurel the only place? Because I heard somebody in Victoria Falls that said, oh, we're the same. So
That's how they do it in Hyattsville. Everything goes in one cart.
Because if everything goes in one cart, telling people that they can only put their food waste, is that true? Is it true that in the whole county, everything goes into one truck, Kevin?
I think so.
Probably because there's only one truck which collects on neighborhoods, right? On Mondays.
Right.
No, but it doesn't make sense because they also announce if your compost hasn't been picked up by noon on Monday, you can call 311 and complain, where they say that the yard wastes will be picked up anytime during the day. So it sounds like whoever wrote the stuff on the website is thinking that the food wastes get picked up separate from the yard wastes. And my question is, in reality, does that happen anywhere? And if it doesn't happen anywhere in the county, the website should be rewritten.
And 311 should get some new instructions.
Right, 311 also. So we just had a whole round with our hauler again. You know, we always go through rounds of it. I provided him Andrea Kroom's email, and all of a sudden everything is perfect. But I mean, you shouldn't have to go through this nonsense every year. So can you find out, Kevin, if there is anywhere in the county, or how much of the county, if there is anywhere, are they picking up the food wastes in the 32-gallon toters separate?
I don't think so, Barbara. I think it's all in one truck everywhere. I think it's the same.
Well, we don't know. I mean, that's what I'd like to find out.
I mean, I can't imagine that they're doing that
because the website, RRD website or DOE website, is written as if they're being picked up separate. You wouldn't call 311 for compost not being picked up by noon on your compost day if it was being in with the normal yard wastes.
Yeah, that's weird.
So I think my guess is whoever wrote the website, there's a complete disconnect from reality. But I'd like to find out, Kevin, if indeed there are any communities and which ones where they're picking up yard wastes, where they're picking up food waste separate from yard wastes of residential.
Okay, I will check, Barbara.
Thank you.
Okay, so that would be a really good thing to clarify in the whole county, what's going on with that. So. Okay, Kevin, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, do we have any other announcements? Anything going on? No? Okay, well, great. Then we're done. I will say just before we close, congratulations for the reappointments that recently happened. I think we have to go back in a week or two for the council and all that stuff, but I also need to get an update from Ms. Brewer about these terms. There's something that's not correct about these terms, and that has to be
It disagrees with the
yes.
legislation completely.
Yes, it disagrees with the
So,
legislation, and
yeah.
I, for one, have had to be subject to going through this year after year. And that's not what the legislation says, so I'm going to try to get that figured out.
Aren't they 3-year terms? Now, I think what they did.
Yes.
And
they should be, but they're not.
Well, I think they may be, and I think here's what they've done. They went back to when your 3-year term expired and they didn't address filling the position immediately because, for example, my term expired last year and I just got reappointed. So when you look at my current expiration date, it's not a full 3 years. It's less than 3. It expires in 27, I believe. But
It doesn't make, I mean, I've had
because
to
they
do,
backdated to when you would have, had they done it timely. And I suspect that's what's going on.
Chuck, that's not the whole, that is, I think, part of it, but it's not the whole thing, because I went through this whole thing last year, last year. And now I had to do it again in 1 year. So it doesn't make any
And now
sense.
that's not right. No, that's not,
Yeah.
it should have been
Yeah.
a 3-year unless you were
Right.
in fact
Yeah,
operating.
I had to do the reapplication last year, but they never acted on it. It just
Right.
sat there.
And
I had to do
that
it.
was not I think Barbara and I are in the same position because our terms had expired and they hadn't timely taken care of the applications we submitted and they
Right.
just got around to
Redo a
doing
new
it.
I had to completely redo a new application.
I
just
did
because-
too. I did
So
too.
why did we have to do one before if they can't? I mean, they should just get their act together.
Because they didn't process it.
Right. Yeah, it's just it seems a bit wacky. So I am going to try to see if I can get some of this straightened out. It doesn't make sense.
It's not just this commission or board. It's across the county for a lot of them.
I'm sure. But I think it's a deterrent for people who volunteer for all these boards and
Absolutely.
commissions. So I think it does need to be addressed. And I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. It's just, I think there's just not enough resources dedicated to it. So anyway, but nevertheless, congratulations to everyone who was re-upped and thank you for your service. We really appreciate that. And we're good until November. I may or may not be on the November call because like I shared with you all, I will be away helping with a family and some medical issues, but I hope to be on the call. But if I'm not, Barbara will take over for me for November and hopefully
Definitely.
back in December.
Thank you
So,
much.
all right, everybody. Thanks so much.
All right. Good night.
You're welcome. Night.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye. Thank you.